Hello and welcome to the reunion of 1984 Deathly Hallows, where Eric has just beaten Crispy at a vote of 6-3 to become the winner of 1984 Deathly Hallows. So, congratulations to you, Eric. This has been a fun season. I'm excited to get to finally talk about it. The gameplay this season has just been very different than any other season that we've had. So I'm very interested in getting to talk about it. And I know some other pod members are also very excited to get to talk about it. So we're going to start with our awards. So let's make sure it loads. It might have started on the wrong slide. Yeah.
Yeah, not the spoiler, but
Yeah, it's okay. Those are just nominees. It's okay. There we go. Okay.
okay.
Once it starts. Okay, here we go. First award we have is the most robbed pre-juror. Our three nominees are Jill, Jazzy, and Casey. First, really quick, happy birthday, Jazzy. It is her birthday. So I want to make sure we get that there. But our most robbed pre-juror nominees are these three lovely ladies. All of them definitely have robbed pre-juror energy, but our official robbed pre-juror is Miss Casey. Casey was so close to making the jury. We'll get to it in a little bit, but Casey was playing this game so well, and I think this definitely was the perfect time to get Casey out. However, seeing her go when she had so much potential was very sad for production. I don't know if any other production wants to chime in on that. But yeah.
I think you kind of said most of it, but Casey, I think at a point in time we all thought was in like the best spot, and then all of a sudden she just wasn't, and so it was very weird to see her leave.
Next up, you got a little spoiler for this one, but the most robbed juror, our nominees being Michael, Mikey, and Rose. Our most robbed pre-juror this season, however, is Miss Rose. Rose played such a good game. This is something we'll definitely talk about a lot tonight. Rose was just such a bright light in this game. It was really fun to just see Rose cooking breakfast with all the house guests while everybody else was like getting done with their days. And it was fun to get on an early morning call and Rose be going to bed. But Rose played such a good game, and I do believe that if she was in the end, she absolutely wins this game. Based solely on her social game and as well some of the strategic game that Rose was a part of. Rose was listed as somebody who was playing for second, and maybe at one point that might have been true, but I think Rose stepped it up when she got that thing said about her in touchy subjects, and it was so much fun to watch Rose play. Anybody else have anything to say? Prod.
I think for me, one of the things that I enjoyed about watching Rose play, and I think part of the reason why I wanted to give this award is just that Rose brought so much light into this season, and it really was just such a breath of fresh air for a lot of the perspectives that we saw. And I think it just was a different air, and I think it just was such a light, refreshing position on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I also just want to say that I think it's because I watched Rose play her last game, and seeing Rose evolve from the last game she played, because she was very new in her last game. I think Rose took it up 50 notches and actually used her social game and used it to her strategic ability. So I was very proud to see the way Rose played.
Pre-season, you'll see this on the cast assessment, but I said I was very worried for Rose because of how many big players were in this game, and I was like, these guys are going to eat Rose alive, and seeing Rose hold her own in this cast made me so happy. So yeah. Okay, we will move on. Next, we have the Alliance of the season. Our 3 nominees are the Triforce of Power, which was Eric, Crispy, and Rose. I guess I did a bad job making this slide. The final 3, 1984, which was Crispy, Jeremy, and Eric, and then Not a J to be Found, which was, let's just go to it. The Alliance of the season was Not a J to be Found, which was Andrew, Crispy, Eric, Michael, and Rose. To catch everybody up to speed who might not have been, these 5 created an alliance like week 2 maybe, with the 5 of them, and then starting in round final 9, they won HOH, nominated one of themselves and a target, and or knowing that they would have the votes to send home whoever was sitting next to their alliance member. And this worked for the Jen round, this worked for the John round, and it could have worked for the Michael round. Obviously, we know what happened with the Michael round. But seeing this alliance dominate the game and the numbers without anybody else knowing was very fun for me, at least. I think one of my favorite parts about this alliance is that they went to Final 7 with Jackson and Jeremy, who were openly targeting each other. That was a very ironic moment, or ironic thing for me to see, was that these 5 had such a strong alliance, and everybody else in that, or that was not in the alliance, was targeting each other rather than the alliance. So yeah. Okay, we will move on. Next is the best duo of the season. So our nominees for best duo are Andrew and Rose, Crispy and Jeremy, and then Lake and Eric. This is not to say that there were not other duos in the season, but these were the 3 most prominent to production. So our award goes to Andrew and Rose. So we chose Andrew and Rose for this award because they were the most consistent duo of the season. Crispy and Eric, and then Crispy and Jeremy were both also pretty consistent duos, but Crispy had a duo with both of them, and we felt that Andrew and Rose were both very loyal to just each other as their final 2 for a good part of the game. So that's why we awarded them best duo. Okay. Next is the more fun side, the best rivalry. We have Crispy and Mikey, Jeremy and Jackson, and John and Lake. So our winner of best rivalry goes to Crispy and Mikey. I think the thing that put this over the top for production was the run of 8 comp wins back and forth between Mikey and Crispy during the round headed up to the triple and then the triple. That was something that 1984 has never seen before. The fact that we did a triple eviction, there were 6 comps in it, and they were all won by 2 people was very impressive. And seeing the 2 of you nominate each other back to back every single time, trying to target each other, and neither one succeeding was very fun for me to watch. So yeah.
I will add on that one of the tipping points, because we sort of were like, okay, why is this the best rivalry over the other ones, was that this was the only rivalry that we saw that actively targeted each other when they had the chance to. Like every time Mikey was HOH, Crispy was on the block, and every time Crispy was HOH, Mikey was on the block. Like that, I think, was the thing that tipped it over the edge. Was whereas some of the other rivalries, while heated and while definitely rivalries, didn't actually take shots at each other. So it was really, really fun to watch when Michael was also like, wait, they've won the last 8 comps in a row. And I was like, wait, you're kidding. And we checked the chart, like mind blown.
I will say, I don't know if we mentioned this at all during the season, but the comp record for 1984 is 7, which is tied by 4 people, being Zach Kennedy, Caleb Reed, and Megan. And so there were definitely points where we thought that could have been tied again or broken. So
did I not tie for that?
You did not, because we count final HOH as one competition.
Gotcha.
But yes, so that was something I definitely thought was going to come between one of these 2 originally. Eric definitely was up there as well. So yeah. Next, we have Social Butterfly of the season. Our nominees are Andrew, Jeremy, and Casey. We ultimately gave this award to Casey. So Casey was in quite a few alliances this season. Pre-season, or not pre-season, pre-jury. Let me just show you. Here is the alliance chart that Zach made week 3. Casey is in, I believe, like 6 or 7 of these alliances.
I think more.
If not more. So Casey, I heard some like rumors of different relationships that Casey had coming into this game, and I almost immediately saw those relationships fixed very fast by Casey, and then she was like in alliances with said people very quickly. And so seeing Casey work was so much fun. And as somebody said earlier, Casey was somebody that production saw as being in such a good spot, and then just suddenly she wasn't. And so that's kind of what we mean by that. So Zach, I don't know if you wanted to touch on this at all, because I know that you made the chart.
Yeah, so I made these charts for just about every round for pre-jury, and then as jury went on, the alliances got less and less, so it didn't have a purpose anymore. But this was the round that there were the most alliances. You can see that list. This is every single alliance chat that had at least a few messages put in it during this round. So you can see by far the people in the least alliances are Andrew and Mikey, both only being in 1, I believe, and then Christian only has 2. And then I know the rest is so hard to read and so hard to look at, but you can see that I believe the top 3 at this point, it was something like Casey, John, and I want to say Crispy at this specific point in the game. And Casey was always in the most, no matter what, which is what was so shocking when she eventually went home, because she was so connected, and then she just kind of went home, and it wasn't even that close of a vote. I'm pretty sure no one was really trying to save her, if I remember correctly.
Right. Okay. Next award we have is the best move of the season. So our nominees are Crispy backdooring Casey, Crispy and Eric flipping on Michael, and then Jeremy convincing Jackson to save them at final 7. So our award goes to Jeremy convincing Jackson to save them at final 7. As mentioned earlier, there was the alliance of 5 people that were pretty much going to take out Jeremy that week. But then we had Eric and Crispy who were willing to flip on that alliance. However, if Jeremy had not convinced Jackson, who they had openly been targeting all game, to save them, Jeremy easily would have left that week no matter what Crispy and Eric said. So while I do believe that Crispy and Eric flipping there is a great move for the 2 of them because it got them to the final 2, I do believe that move would not have been possible without Jeremy convincing Jackson. Getting on that call, I believe I was on for that whole call, getting on that call with Jackson, basically telling Jeremy, or almost telling Jeremy, that he was evicting them, to 30 minutes later, Jackson telling Jeremy that he was going to save them. It was a very impressive moment for me to watch this season. So yeah. Another honorable mention that I want to mention, that I don't know how significant it actually was, but Eric messaging Michael to avoid Jeremy getting backdoored at final 9 was another move that I believed was a pretty good one. However, we were not sure how much standing that actually had with Michael's decision. But that was a subtle move that I also thought was pretty crucial to the game. So I don't know if Michael has any comment on that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty torn. So it was so 50-50, and I messaged Eric, just be like, what are your thoughts? So yeah, I mean, Eric saying that definitely changed. I think if he didn't, I think I ultimately probably would have backdoored Jeremy.
Right. Okay. Next we have the biggest mistake of the season. So our nominees were Jake and Lake each blowing up their own game, Rose and Andrew evicting Jen over Crispy, and then Rose not putting up Jeremy and Jackson together at final 7. So our biggest mistake of the season goes to Rose and Andrew evicting Jen over Crispy. Production believed that Rose and Andrew would have possibly had a better shot had they saved Jen there. Obviously, Crispy made it to the final two, so it worked out for Crispy. But you see where Crispy did end up turning on Rose and Andrew, where I do believe that Jen would have been more loyal to the two of them. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has anything to say on that one.
I will say that
I agree.
I will say that this was like a crucial part because from Prod side, it was very interesting because I think this was where we saw Rose and Andrew, like they either have to commit to the 5 or they can, they have their other option with Jen. And I think looking at it from that point of view, like it was really hard to determine what was the right move at that point in time, but obviously we see what happened later on. I do think a close second in this award definitely was Lake and Jake blowing their games up, but that wasn't really a move because I do think both of them were going to stay at one point in time. Lake definitely he was staying for most of the day until he blew his own game up. So Eric would have gone home that round had Lake not gone AWOL, to put it nicely.
Yeah, and I think like obviously like Crispy touched on it in the final tribal council in the final speeches, which like I think more cemented are like in my brain why this was the mistake of the season, and not to undercut Rose or Andrew at all. I think you both played amazing, but like clearly the evidence speaks for itself as to why Crispy probably should have gone at this vote.
I think I do remember saying to production at Final 9, I said, this is going to be the moment that people look back on and they say, that's where we fucked up. That was when the move should have been made. And it obviously wasn't in Crispy made Final 2. So, okay, next award. Worst reads of the season. This award goes to the entire fucking cast. So many times in this game, I would hear this person wants to work with this person, but this person is targeting said person. Almost like every single person was working with the people that wanted them out the most. And I think the rest of Prod has a lot more to say on this, but it was almost all season long. Every single person started to work with the people that they were being targeted by, and it was so weird. The reads this season were so off. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you can go.
I know. I was just saying. I will say like the one thing I want to mention here is because what always comes to my mind when we were doing this award was I was on that call. I guess it was Final 9 or so. It was that call between John and Jackson talking about flipping the vote and getting rid of Jen. And the amount of strength it took for me to not unmute and scream, you two are so clueless, like it's sad. And I love you both. It's so, I'm not trying to be mean, but you guys, it was like a clown festival, the way that the not a J Alliance was like running circles around everyone else. And like you guys thinking you were flipping the vote to get rid of Jen when she never had a shot to stay. I don't know what it was. Was that it? Getting rid of Jen? Is that it?
Yeah, it was that round, and yeah, it was. Oh, we have Lake coming in. So yeah, that round, watching John and Jeremy think that they were making this big, huge move when it was already happening it was comical.
I have a wound on my arm. If you want to rub the salt in a little bit more, please and thank you.
But yeah, it seemed like throughout the entire game, not even just that one round, but when someone would have a call with somebody and then they would like do a confessional and be like, this person's targeting this person. And then in the prod chat, we'd be like, that's like one of their top allies. Like what? I'm so confused. Like there was never a point in this time or in this game where I felt like somebody had 100% correct reads, like, which is super not normal in these games, which kind of made it interesting. Because people were never 100% aware of what was happening. So it kind of made everybody kind of just play to what they know, but at the same time, it was like, what do people know? So, Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have. Oh, okay. So, the next three awards, we wanted to give out one award for each of the three Deathly Hallows. So this is the Invisibility Cloak Award. So this was essentially like the most under the radar of the season. So we have Andrew, Jackson, and Jen. And so we gave the Invisibility Cloak Award to Miss Jen. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on this. Jen was definitely a very under the radar person this season. I was not sure where Jen stood in this game, to be honest. So I don't know if any other production have anything to say.
I'll speak up. I'll say Jen, and this goes back to, Andrew and Rose, getting rid of Jen. Jen, it was very clear that she was on an island. There was a very specific trend. If you look at the alliance charts that I made week by week, it was a very clear trend, except for like the Casey vote, where basically every round the person who was in the least alliances was going home. And by the time it got to final 9, Jen was by far in the least alliances, and just no one was talking about her. She really wasn't doing much. No disrespect to her, but she wasn't doing that much. And but she was in that alliance with Andrew and Rose, and that is who she was 100% loyal to, at least from a prod perspective. So, she definitely deserves this award for being under the radar in that regard. But I want to preface the nominations because Andrew was also nominated for this, and I don't want it to be seen as the same level because Andrew was, you were kind of under the radar in the way that you obviously were the last unnominated, but you were doing shit the whole time. You were doing stuff so well, and I don't know if you got enough credit for that from your fellow house guests, and I want to make sure that you do get your credit for that because you were doing shit the whole game. There is a reason you were the last unnominated, and that is why you were not nominated for this. So I don't want you to take the nomination for this as, as anything like that, because you were just so under the radar, but in the exact perfect way. Just wanted to say all that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think with Jen, it sort of is like she was just on the cusp of actually being able to make some waves in the game. And so I think she just it's not, and I don't want this to be like a negative award anyway. I think Jen was playing well, but just sort of got herself caught too far under the radar where she couldn't get back to the surface in time to make a splash in the game. So.
Yes. I completely agree with what Zach said about Andrew. I think Andrew, you played a really good social game. Your game is a lot about the social game, and I think a lot of the time people that play strictly for the social game are the people that don't get as much credit as they deserve, because it really did get you to the final 6 unnominated. And I think you were a very big driving force in that alliance, that one alliance of the season. So you specifically should be very proud of yourself for that. And then Jackson with this award as well. Jackson was somebody who wasn't necessarily winning comps to put a target on himself, but he was playing a really good social game to get himself to not be nominated as well, because everybody kept saying how Jackson's this big threat, this big player, but nobody was nominating Jackson. So yeah. Okay. Next on our list of our 3 Deathly Hallows awards is the Resurrection Stone Award. So this is going, I'll touch on each of the 3. So the Resurrection Stone Award is going to the people that were almost down and out, but then were able to recover their game. So with Crispy was being targeted specifically by Mikey for a good portion of the pre-jury. And then once Mikey left, Crispy stepped his game up and made a bunch of moves and got himself to the final 2. And then with Jeremy, specifically at the final 7, Jeremy absolutely should have been evicted at 7, but was able to convince Jackson to save them. And then Michael kind of clearly was out of the game and got himself back in, and that's why we are giving Michael the Resurrection Stone Award, as obviously the Resurrection Stone is what got Michael back into the game. And Michael did not just get back into the game, Michael got back in the game and started swinging. And that is something I really appreciate, was that even though you were down and out, you came back in, you were ready to play, and you made a lot of big moves. And I think had Rose nominated somebody different at Final 7, I think you absolutely could have been sitting in the final 2 chairs. So
we realize it's very on the nose, but we feel like there wasn't really a better fit for this award. So
Thank you guys.
okay, this next award is the Elder Wand Award, and this award goes to Eric, the holder of the Elder Wand.
Wow.
Eric had the Elder
You
Wand.
rat
Number
bastard.
14.
You motherfucker.
So the Elder Wand gave Eric the power that at any time up to the final 13 before the nomination ceremony, he could have turned the veto into a diamond power of veto. It clearly was not good for Eric's game to ever use the power, so he kept it safe and did not use it, which clearly was the right move for him. I really enjoyed watching Eric go on calls and debate what the Elder Wand was about or who might have had it, knowing damn well that Eric had it in his pocket. And I think Eric did a masterful job of convincing everybody that he did not have it, clearly, as everybody was pretty surprised just now. So Eric, I will let you touch on that if you'd like to.
Yeah, I think the moment I got it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it's me, like I feel so special. But then I read through it and I was like, this is actually like not good. Like this is not something I would ever choose. I think that moment I said, I will never use this. It doesn't matter what happens in the game. It's not good for me to play it. And then I didn't tell anyone about it because I didn't want it to be yet another thing that could be used against me. Like, oh, he had the Elder Wand and he didn't even have to use it. What if he says that found whatever? Because we don't even know what the power was. What if it was more powerful? So I didn't want people talking about me more, especially during the jury phase. I also didn't bring it up during the jury questioning because I didn't think it was an important aspect of my game. Like keeping a power hidden is not a move. It's just doing nothing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that the fact that Eric didn't even have to use that as a point in his final speaks to how good he did with the Elder Wand. So yeah. Okay. I believe now we are getting into our big 3 awards. First up, we have Hero of the Season. Our nominees are Andrew, Jackson, and Rose. And the winner of Hero of the Season goes to Miss Rose. I think this is kind of a clear winner here. Rose is such a bright light in the season, as I said already. And then seeing Rose fight her way through this game after being flipped on, making it to Final 4, being 1 veto win and 1 final HOH from winning this game. I definitely think Rose is our hero this season.
I will say that I think in a season that had a lot of the production members feeling various ways about a lot of the cast members over the course of this season, there was always one consistent, and it was that everybody loved Rose on the prod team. And there was never a time where anybody was ever frustrated or annoyed or like questioning what Rose was doing. So I think Rose is not only the hero of your season, but Rose is the hero of our season as well.
I also loved Rose's little dad jokes that were Harry Potter themed. Those were some of my favorite things. Sometimes I just had to walk away from Rose's project because it was just so funny.
My personal favorite of Rose is when this was very early on in the game, but she took everyone's like cast photo and sent them to her prod chat and then tried to make it was like a nice grill about people.
I totally forgot about that.
Like, so she would be like, but it would be about your prod photo. It'd be about like something you're like doing in your prod photo. Like I remember Lake's, it was like, Lake, did you just like fart or something like that? Or it would be like, it was like something like funny. It was just.
And then like Jackson's was like, it looks like Jackson didn't have a blue shirt, so we went to Walmart and held up one to his picture or whatever. Like it was so funny. Also, Rose getting nominated and then going on this big like campaign with the pictures, phenomenal. Loved it. Loved every moment of it. Okay. Next we have the villain of the season. So our nominees are Crispy, Eric, and Buckley. The villain of the season is Eric. So something that you guys did not get to see was how much trash Eric talks in his prod chat. Eric complained a lot about the other house guests. I won't go into detail, but Eric complained a lot. But I think seeing how much the jury really liked Eric, in contrast to what we saw in Eric's prod chat, was like very much representing of villain of the season. So I don't know if any other prod has any comments on that.
Yeah, it was so weird seeing the jury chat from our perspective, because we knew both of them played a villainous game, but from our perspective, Eric's villain and lying was 20 times above Crispy's, but Crispy got all the heat for everything, which we were really confused about. And just people were mad at Crispy for something Eric did as well. It was the same thing, but Eric did it worse, and it honestly didn't make sense. And on top of that, someone would go on call with Eric. Eric would be or then they would post in their prod chat, "Oh my god, I love Eric," and then Eric would go to his prod chat and been like, "Oh, I was so glad to get off that call," or something like that. And so it was really, yeah, that's definitely the villain arc.
I will just comment that after hearing about this from Eric firsthand, after the last time I played with Eric and then watching it in person, he definitely did not pull any punches.
Okay. And next, our last of the big three awards, we have the player of the season, our nominees being Crispy, Eric, and Rose. We chose to give player of the season to Crispy. Crispy Production believes that you are clearly the player of the season for us. For me specifically, watching you go from nearly out fighting for your life in the pre-jury, where you absolutely should have been taken out at one of the spots, clearly you were able to save yourself, and then seeing you go back under the radar, still making moves, but under the radar, and then to have everybody wanting to take you to the end, where I didn't see much chance of you leaving as of final 7, was just really impressive to me, and the rest of production. So I will let other people comment, because I know that you have a lot of fans on production, Crispy.
I will say that I think you and Eric, I think definitely were the top two, not to discredit Rose at all. Rose definitely was up there as well. But I think the final two definitely were big players in this game. And I think the difference for me is, I think we said around final 8, final 7, Crispy's winning this game. Crispy's winning. And nobody was taking out Crispy. It was so wild. Crispy kind of had his pick of the litter. Crispy could do whatever he wanted, and everybody was still taking him far. The difference with Eric is I think everybody knew Eric's threat level and people wanted to take Eric out. So I think that's where that's where it comes in different for me. Is I think Eric could have gone home many times had he not won challenges, and I don't think Crispy needed to win challenges. So
I will chime in and I will say that going into finale tonight, it seemed based on the jury chat that if it was Eric versus Crispy, it was almost guaranteed to be unanimous for Eric to win. So, I am glad that, because I didn't think that, to reiterate what Tylor said, I do think that Eric and Crispy were the best two players in the season, but I definitely didn't think that it was deserving of a unanimous victory for either one. So I was very glad to see that you, Crispy, were able to put your game on display and put light onto what you did, because you did so much and you played such a great game. So the fact that you were able to switch those votes, and the people who didn't, switch their votes were very, very close. People like John, as John said, they were very, very close to switching, and it really could have gone any way there at the end. So I am glad that you were able to have the opportunity to tell everybody your game, because we all saw it, we all respected it, we all loved it, and I hope that the jury does too, because they should.
Agreed. And I think one thing that we highlighted when we were talking about how we were going to give these awards out is, yes, we did mention it during biggest mistake of the season. I think it was the Casey backdoor. But what we did really talk about was how you left that triple eviction with almost no blood on your hands, and how like it was a big move, and how people like were sort of shook by that decision, but never once was it really, the backlash never came back to you. And so it just was the way that you sort of were able to step up, make a big move for your alliance and for your allies, and then just sort of step back and let other people fall in front of you. I think really was a testament to how well you played this game. And I think I agree with Zach. I was going to mention it, the way that you were able to compose yourself and maneuver around these final speeches and genuinely convince people who were dead set from voting you to considering voting you, and even voting for you, I think really just shows why you're deserving of player of the season.
Okay.
Dad?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, we have our host favorite awards. So each member of production has chosen one of you. They're all different, to give their host favorites to. So Zach, you are up first.
Okay, I should have prepared something because I'm just gonna be talking out of my ass here. But basically, my host favorite is Miss Rose. I absolutely loved watching you, Rose. You were just so rootable from the start. You had so many allies from the get-go, and people were just drawn to you. I loved when you were in the all women's alliance, and then that blew up, but you still found your way through other alliances. You just knew what you were doing the whole time, and then you know, you were dominating your own alliance, and then they flipped on you, which helps your hero arc and just made you even more beloved. You know, because I always root for a good underdog, and even though you were in the alliance that was pretty much dominating all of jury, you quickly went from the top to seemingly the bottom very quickly. It was tragic that your final five HOH probably got out the one person it shouldn't have at that point in the game. But nonetheless, I loved watching you play. Your confessionals were so funny, and I just absolutely loved your prod chat and just everything about your game. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Okay. Next up is Tylor. Tylor, you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. So I will start off by saying that there was two people for me that just like shined above and beyond for me. Like there was just two people I loved watching the entire time. One being Rose, obviously, and then my host favorite of Crispy. I loved watching Crispy play. I think Crispy and Rose had a similar story arc for me in their game. I think they both wanted to prove something this game. They both like, I know Crispy has said that he had other games where like he felt like he wasn't as deserving, and so he really wanted to make his mark on this game. And so I just loved Crispy's humor and his prod chat, and I loved Crispy's confessionals, and I loved the way that Crispy's brain worked in this game, and I was always rooting for Crispy. And then an honorable mention, again, I said this earlier, Rose's evolution from instinct was very high, so I had to root for Rose as well. So yes.
Okay. Next up, Lizzie.
Oh, there are so many people, honestly, that I wish that I could put on this screen. Some of them have already been mentioned, but my host favorite this season is definitely going to Jackson, and unofficially to also Julia Rowe, to be honest. I just had so much fun watching you this season. You made me laugh so many times. Some of the screen grabs that we got of like your faces and some of the comp wins that you had were just like iconic. So thank you so much for playing. It was such a pleasure to watch you.
Okay. Next up, we have Josh.
I mean, I think it's fitting that Zach went before Tylor, and Tylor could have picked Rose for her host favorite, and Lizzie went before me, and I could have picked Jackson as my host favorite. But ultimately, I think my host favorite has to be Mr. Mikey. I think that obviously this is little known, but season 10, you were pretty much on the cast last season. Like you had your spot, and then things changed, and we couldn't give it to you, and I was very, very upset about that. But the you came back this season and you really, really brought it. And just watching the whole pre-jury pretty much revolved around you. And so you are such a fun person to watch and hang out with and talk to, and just to see your passion and the way that you, every time your back was against the wall, saved yourself. And yeah, you definitely hands down were the favorite for me this season.
Okay. And my host favorite, I had a lot of different options, but I decided to give mine to Lake. Going into the season, I think it's no secret Lake was an alternate this season. When I thought about Lake playing this game, I thought that Lake was just going to be this big goofball that comes in the game, just survives a couple rounds and then gets evicted. But Lake came in with so much strategy that I was not expecting from him, and watching that play out was really fun for me. And while Lake calls himself very inactive, I went on so many calls that Lake was on. A lot of them were Lake and Eric, but I went on so many calls that Lake was on and heard so much about Lake. Like, there were some nights that I was just following Lake through calls, and hearing Lake's perspective of this game was really fun for me, especially because it's not how I expected to see Lake play this game. And I think I said, as of like final, like before the triple, or even like final 11, that I was like, I think Lake's gonna be my host fave this season. And I wavered, but I do end up giving Lake my host favorite. It was a lot of fun for me to watch him play. Regardless of how inactive you say you were, I think you did a really good job this season, and I was really happy to have you play. So I'm going to stop my screen share. That is all the awards of the season. Tylor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if you didn't get a host favorite award, it's not because it's personal or anything. It's also like it has to do with like your prod chat, like just like how you react to stuff. Like, it's just for fun. We obviously don't want anybody to feel like discouraged or anything. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Then there's a couple other things that we want to reveal this season. Obviously, we'll get to the vote counts very soon. So first off, I'm going to talk about the production draft that we did before the season. So each season we do a draft with production, where each of us, we go snake order and get to choose a few of you to have on our draft team. So I'm going to reveal the teams in the order that they were completely eliminated from the game. So first we had the wild cards, which were the two unpicked people, which were Jazzy and Lake. He who must not be named was on another team, but we moved stuff around. So yeah. Fifth place in the draft was me, myself, and I. I had Jen, Mikey, and John. That's the order that we picked them in. So Jen, Mikey, and John were my three. Fourth place in the draft was Zach with Michael, Jackson, and Andrew. Lizzie got third place with Jill, Rose, and Casey. And then Tylor got second place with Crispy, Jason, and Christian. And then winning the draft for a second season in a row is Josh with Eric, Jeremy, and Jake. I don't know if Josh wants to say anything, but
I will also say that in the cast assessment, my winner pick for the season was in fact Eric. So I not only won the production draft, but got to pick the winner pick as well. And I have to say, Jeremy, you were so close. I really saw the writing on the wall, and I could have had two of my production draft picks in the final two, and you were so close, and you really slayed this season. And so having you on my production draft team from day one was such a pleasure, and keep your head held high because you slayed this whole game. So.
And then another thing to mention, we also did placement predictions, which obviously is such like a wild thing to guess. But Joshua guessed Crispy in second and Eric in third, or Eric at winning. Josh also had Jeremy in fourth. and that was all preseason. So I'd say that's pretty good. Tylor randomly guessed Michael in 7th. And then Tylor and Lizzie both guessed Crispy getting 2nd. Both of them said Crispy was going to lose to Jen. And then just for the record, Zach had Jason as his winner pick with Mikey in 2nd. And then I had Michael as my winner pick with John in 2nd preseason. So that will be in the chart for you guys to see if you would like to once we get there. And then fantasy draft, I'm not exactly sure who won. I'm pretty sure it's Billy Stevens, but don't tell him yet, please. And then let's do episode quotes, and then we will do the vote counts. So some of you already know episode quotes you got. These are pretty spread out until the late game when it was mostly dominated by Crispy. So week 1, we had Rose saying, "I will write on my own belly with chocolate sauce." Week 2 was Jen saying, "This is why girls don't fucking work together." Week 3 was Jill saying, "I need to be everyone's bitch for a bit." Week 4 was Jeremy saying, "I'm here, I'm awake, I'm stoned, it's fine." And then week 5, the full week of week 5 was Eric saying, "Everyone and their mother wants to call the middle their home," which I believe could be the season title. And then the first round of the triple is Andrew saying, "I'm not calling you a bigot." And then the second round of the triple is Lake saying, "I'm definitely smoking weed after this." And then during the Resurrection Stone competition, the episode quote is Crispy saying, "A bitch got 8 seconds." And then the full round of week 6 was Jeremy saying, "I'm not at Josh Rogers, I don't hate women." And then week 7 was John saying, "I can't have uncultured people in this house." I believe that was about Lake.
That was during the Journey Don't Stop Believing controversy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought you meant it was during the fight, but that's okay.
No.
Better.
As soon as you said that, I ran to the production chat and I said, "This must be an episode quote."
Okay. Then week where am I at? Week 8 was ravioli is an inferior pasta. That was said by Rose. I believe that was about Zach because Zach ravioli.
Mm-hmm. Host favorite.
Zach still gave you his host favorite, so okay. Week 9 was also Rose. It was, "Isn't it nice being better than everyone else?" That was so good. Week 10 was "Let the fucking rainbow shine." That was Jeremy. The next 3 were all Crispy. So week 11 was "I'm a Slytherin in Gryffindor clothing." I believe that really shows Crispy's game there. And then "Congratulations, what do you want, a cookie?" And then week 13 was "I'd like to see Harry, Ron, and Hermione do this shit." And then week 14, which was the final 3 round, was "I want to win this game." That was Eric. And then I decided for the first time ever to give the finale quote to a non-finalist, and this quote went to Jackson saying, "Why on God's green earth are you sitting next to this man?" So that was the final episode quote. So yeah, I believe we're probably interested in some vote counts now. So you will be possibly surprised to know that there was never a tie this season. There were no ties. So Jazzy went home at a vote of 9-5. Jake went home at a vote of 11-2. Christian went home at a vote of 11-1. Jill went home at a vote of 7-4. Jason went home at a vote of 10-0. Casey went home at a vote of 9-0. At Michael's first eviction, he went home at a vote of 6-2. At Mikey's eviction, he went home at a vote of 6-2. Lake went home at a vote of 6-1. Jen went home at a vote of 6-0. John went home at a vote of 3-2. Michael went home in a vote of 3-1. Andrew went home at a vote of 3-0. Jackson went home at a vote of 2-0. And then Rose, obviously, and Jeremy, obviously, were evicted by Crispy and Eric, respectively. So that is your vote counts for the season. I don't know if we have anything else that we need to reveal. Is there anything else that anybody really wants to know? Oh, the one other thing that I want to say, I want Crispy and Lake to hear this. Touchy subjects. For the majority of that night, until the last 2 people submitted their votes, there were like 8 people that had 1 vote for never want to speak to again in this game. Lake and Crispy each had 2 votes. That was it. I felt so bad not being able to say something, but please, 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 no, it was only 2 people randomly both saying each of you. So that is something I definitely wanted to make sure was known, was that vote was so spread out. Like at one point there, I had my little wheel and it had 8 people all with 1 vote. So yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, so the Crispy votes were Lake and Michael, and then the Lake votes were John and Crispy. So Crispy and Lake obviously voted each other there, and then there was 1 extra for you. So please don't hold too much weight into that because I really don't think it's true. I think that this cast is a very good cast that will talk to each other after the game's over.
Can I say something really quick, because I probably should get back to like my friends and stuff.
Yeah.
This game was so much fucking fun, and I love all of you so fucking much. It's ridiculous. You're all amazing, incredible people. Even you, Mikey. Even you. No, but Mikey, I just want to say, like, that fucking rivalry was so much fucking fun. I loved everything about that. It's funny. It was just like, it was just great. And Eric, congratulations. I'm so freaking happy for you. My buddy. Jeremy, I love you so damn much. Like, and Rose, voting you out was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in an org. I'm so sorry. But I gotta go. I love all of you. Please, Michael, I hope you still want to talk to me later. But I love all of you. I gotta go.
Do not hang up, sir. I'm taking over.
No,
you are
part of this.
I am part of this. I know, right? I went home so quickly.
Careful, my beer's right next to you.
Hello, guys. Eric, congratulations on your win. That's awesome. God. Jeremy, oh my God, serving. Wow, that's... I have always said, I went into the season, and one of the first things I said to Jeremy was, you are always on point with your, like, dressing up, all of that. Always on point. Hi. I got so much pleasure talking to each one of you guys. Some of you I wish I talked to a lot more. At Andrew. Wish I talked to you a lot more because you're really fucking cool. I didn't talk to you. Because my fault. Completely my fault. Completely my fault. My bad.
You had COVID.
I love every single one of you guys, and I hold no grudges for literally anything. Every single one of you. I knew that when they were like, oh, Jason, you have a chance to battle back. I was like, I don't deserve that. Like, I was like, oh, honey, no. I was like, no. Because I didn't want to take it away from somebody like Michael or Casey who was actually playing the game.
Michael still would have beat you anyway.
Oh, I know. He won HOH.
Okay, sweetie.
But that's all. We can take off now. I just wanted to say hi, guys. I didn't get to really hop on because a game started tonight for me. And somebody else who
I'll
is...
see you there, bestie. I was on the jury, so I had to be here.
No, you're good. I understood. Don't worry, I understand.
Gasp.
But I love you guys. That's all.
Thank you, Jason. So one other thing I think a lot of people are kind of curious about. So maybe Zach, do you want to talk about the thing you want to talk about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Is he here?
Your audio, is it me? Are you talking to me? Your audio is cutting out.
Yes, I'm talking to you, Zach. Is there something you want to talk about? Do I need to message you?
Yeah, I think you need to message me. And this
Okay,
is
I'll message you on Zoom.
Can you fix your microphone, please?
Yes, I will while Zach's talking.
Oh, yeah. So, you know those GIFs that I was posting every day in the house chat with the little emojis and everything? And then you guys were like studying that and being like, what movie is this from? And like half of you were wrong and like thinking what they were actually from. That was pointless the whole time. That was just for fun to like mess with y'all. Good times, good fun. And then the only reason they stopped around like final six was because I missed the day on accident. I said, let me just stop like and see what happens if I just stop because I don't care anymore. Yup, day 29. Yup.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. For those of you who don't know, 3 people from production just played another game, and in that game they posted one GIF every single day, and at the final 4 they did a competition with said GIFs. And Zach was in one of those prod chats that saw that happen, and we thought maybe it'd be a fun thing for Zach to just send some GIFs and see what happens. And you guys ran with it, and we enjoyed it the whole time. Specifically Jeremy and Eric.
Shout out to BB Disney season 5, whatever, started tonight. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. I love you all. You all have a free place to stay in Chicago whenever you're there.
Also, hang out with me in Chicago.
Yeah, Jason's moving there in June.
I'm moving there.
But hang out with me.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So, okay. I don't believe there's anything else that we really need to talk about on the stream, unless there's anything anybody wants to know about the season. So I will cut the stream, and then I'm going to send the link out to the alumni chat. If anybody in the alumni is watching and would like to hop on, you are more than welcome to. You guys are welcome to stay on, hang out, whatever you'd like to do. But yeah, this has been a fun season. I've really enjoyed it. This is a really good cast. So keep an eye out for future 1984 things. I also want to put this out there. 1984 Live does have some spots if anybody that's watching is interested. We have had some people drop, so if you are interested in playing a live game, please contact me or Josh Rogers. Do not contact Tyler or Zach or Lizzie about this because they are not on production for live. Contact me or Josh or Tawny Newcomer, Blake Murphy, Paige, Ben Shoof, Jake Stevens, or Jackson Stroop. We are very excited about that project coming up. Other than that, I believe that is all we have for you guys for this season. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to cut the stream. Once again, congratulations, Eric and Crispy and Jeremy. Great games all